It has now been 1 year with my Bugatti Veyron Grand Sport, and I still pinch myself every time I walk out in the garage and it is still there. But I wanted to make a video today with a 1 year update, talk about how much it has cost me to own and maintain this car, and generally just go through my thoughts on what it's been like to own. And it just got back from Bugatti Broward again for an annual service. So that's been my primary cost of ownership, but we'll run down it all. I just passed 15,000 miles in the car, bought it with about 11, so I put 4,000 miles on in a year, probably a little less than I would have expected, limited by a few things like the fact that I desperately need some tires and I haven't figured out exactly what we're going to do about that, and just the fact that I've had so many other cars to put miles on to get working for Car Trek and things like that. But Bugatti Broward and Abe and his team there have been amazing throughout the process. I never expected that I would buy one of these things through an authorized dealer, but that did make a lot of things easier. So for the annual service, I had a few things that were kind of lingering that I needed to do. One was the transmission accumulators and the mass airflow sensors that were causing a few symptoms that were annoying. Whenever you'd open the driver's door, it would take a really long time for the transmission pumps to prime, and it was occasionally misfiring and overheating just a little bit. And so those were going to be dealt with, along with some things that were still sort of outstanding from the initial purchase of the car, because as I talked about, all I got was one key. No books, no PDA, no covers, no anything else. And so I'd wanted a second key and the speed key, so they built that in as part of the deal when I bought the car a year ago for $1.45 million. And so that felt like enough to ask. They also did a very cursory service back then, really just oil, brake fluid, kind of looked over the car. And they hadn't given me any kind of warranty or anything like that, but we had agreed that to buy the car, I needed it to be at least in good enough condition to make it to Atlanta. And so the car was on consignment. They had that understanding with the seller, and of course immediately after I departed the dealership, the check engine lights started to flash, the car started to run poorly, and so we agreed at that point that the car needed to have the coolant system completely flushed with all 13 radiators gone through, and they were going to do plugs and coils. Now that sounds relatively simple in Volkswagen, Bentley, normal things, but with a Bugatti it's a little bit less so. In fact, the cost for the dealership for spark plugs and ignition coils was $25,000. And so that was sort of on a long-standing WIO for the next time I would get the car back there. And so I actually dropped the car when we were there for MOTA. It's been there for a little while, and it is now back. Now, normally I would have driven the car home. I don't really like shipping cars ever, but my tires are well spent. They're from 2017. Obviously, they were on there when I got it, but I got 4,000 more miles out of them, but it is time. And that's a little bit of a current uncertainty for all Bugatti Veyron owners because they haven't made these Michelin Pax tires in several years. Late 2022 is the last date stamp that I've seen personally. And I'm not going to pay 10 grand for a tire, 40 grand for a set for tires that are already so old. I'm trying not to pay that at all. But the rumor is, and continues to be, that Bugatti is going to authorize the use of Chiron spec Michelins on the Veyron, and supposedly they're going to make a wheel that is the right size for the Veyron but accepts the Chiron tires. Now, if you look at the Bugatti parts catalog, Veyron wheels, which are supposed to be replaced every 3 sets of tires, are between $100,000 and $125,000 a set. So that doesn't help me a whole lot in cost of ownership. But my current thought is that I'm going to get a set of Chiron tires and I'm going to get some wheels made that at least kind of replicate this look, and that I'll use those until Bugatti comes out with an official stance, because I don't want to buy old $40,000 tires. I don't want to buy $40,000 tires at all. And I just want to be able to continue to put miles on the car. Now, the other thing that I still need to do is the axles are leaking. They're around the boots, the grease is coming out, and so those need to be done, and they're $60,000 a pair. And I don't want to do that. And so I've got a drive shaft shop locally that says they can rebuild them. So that is the next project. So let's talk through what they did just complete down at Bugatti Broward, but let's do that while we drive the car. That's a whole lot more fun. But before I do that, let me tell you about our latest offer from Avalon King. Their AS9 DIY ceramic coating is the best value in the world of ceramic coating products. And they've just reduced the price to $59.99 for our viewers. And for the first 100 of you that click right now, you're going to get a bottle of their Armor Shield Light Spray. Now what that does is, if you're just trying to clean off something quick or do something more easily, the spray is easy, and it gives you a lot of the hydrophobic properties and other things that we love about a ceramic coating. But when you're installing the ceramic coating for the first time, putting this on before and after makes it a whole lot easier to apply it evenly, level it off, and get exactly the look that you're looking for. And one of these bottles is enough for a whole car like this. If you got a big SUV, maybe get 2 of them, and a single person could put it on in about an hour and a half, including coating all the extra things, the glass and all the stuff that you'd want to do. So check them out now at the link in the description below for our latest and best offer from Avalon King. Now let's go for a drive. It is so much better with the roof off. That is the only way to drive this car. Unless it's raining, of course, or if you're gonna get a sunburn as I'm about to get today. But I still cannot believe that I own this thing and that they haven't come to repossess it yet. Now I do have a flashing tire pressure light, but I checked all my tires and they are the right pressure. So what that probably means, which is of no real consequence right now, is that one of the batteries inside of one of the tire pressure monitors has died. That's always been one of the things that Veyrons were known for, is having tire lights on, because the tires are old and nobody's replacing them on time and stuff like that. And so who knows what my plan will be there. Well, I'm working on some options and hopefully that'll be the next Bugatti Veyron update video. But when we think about what had to be done to the car when it was going back to Broward, plugs, coils, coolant, and generally going over it. What I just ran over there. Plugs, coils, coolant. I knew that it was going to be time to go ahead and do the rest of a big annual service. And so the rumor, the legend of the Bugatti annual service was always that it was 20 to 25 grand. And pretty much that is what it would be if you do the normal regimen of stuff that would include oil, transmission fluid, all the filters, all the things, and just going through the car. Now, I needed to do the transmission accumulators and mass airflow sensors, and so that took me to what would normally cost you about $75,000 for a big annual service for a Veyron. I ended up at $19,000 total out the door, which I felt like was really, really fair. And when you think about what most of the cars of this magnitude cost to take care of, it's really not that bad at all. And so apart from spending $4 grand to get one key that worked and one key that didn't, and the owner's manual, and then insuring it for about 500 bucks a month, that puts me like between 30 and 40 grand total to have this car for a year and drive it about 4,000 miles. So less than $10 a mile. I don't know, the gas is in there and some other stuff, but realistically, it hasn't been bad at all. And of course, easily that could have gone up a lot had I had something terrible happen, which they're prone to do. But the car has been super duper solid. Oh my goodness. 4 turbos, still the right number. I love this car. It is so comfortable, it is so usable. I drove it to Miami twice, I drove it to Hilton Head, I've driven it around, you know, like a normal car, and it does that really, really well. In fact, a lot better than you could do normal car things out of most of the Halo Ferraris, P1, all the things, especially a Pagani or a Koenigsegg. And, you know, I continue to have the belief that these cars are going to be very, very highly appreciated, much more so than Ferrari, Lamborghini, McLaren by the next generation of collectors, myself included. I mean, these cars are the halo, and I feel like hypercars from the future of appreciation are the answer. Now, like I said, I bought this car for $1.45 million about a year ago with 11,000 miles, and that was really, really cheap for a Grand Sport. And the reason was that of the 14 Grand Sports that were sold in the United States, 6 of them were for sale inside of a year. And that just put so much downward pressure on the market that I was able to get what I feel like was a really good deal. And it has proven to be a very, very good deal, because since then, 3 early Veyrons have sold for more than $2 million. And so I think a Grand Sport has to be worth a little bit more. Those cars were nicer cosmetically than mine, but now mine is all serviced up. And so I think my car's worth, I don't know, somewhere in the low 2s. The only offer that I turned down that was like really in that range that I believed would have actually closed was 2.1 a few months ago. But I think the cars can only go up from here, and I am having so much fun with it. I can't really imagine what I would replace the car with. I just enjoy it so much. I mean, we all talk about my latest dream car and all that stuff, but I'll be honest, I only have 3 dream cars. And it's a Mercy, this, and a McLaren F1. And so I am not in a position to have that as the ultimate 3-car solution. But for now, I am as close as I ever imagined I'd ever be. Now, lots of people ask me like how they should go about trying to buy and negotiate on their cars, and I enjoy those conversations, but this deal was pretty interesting because, once again, at the moment, there were like 3 different Grand Sports publicly advertised. The prices had come down a lot, but I needed the car to be a lot cheaper than the asking price online, which was like $1.69 million. And that's because it was so stale on service, it needed a lot of things, but it needed more than the consignment seller was willing to do to sell the car, which was perfect for me because I knew that most Veyron buyers would not entertain a car as needy as this car was, with the axles leaking, needing tires, needing service, needing some cosmetics and stuff like that. But it was the perfect car for me. I love the history and all this stuff. And so what I tell everyone to do is go in as committed as you possibly can be. And you say, well, how do I commit to a car that's totally unknown? Well, you discount by everything that could possibly go wrong. And so going down that extra $150,000 to $200,000 was only possible because I was willing to commit to take the car without making them do a whole lot of work and jump through a whole lot of hoops. And whatever the car is, however good, bad, ugly, indifferent, that's where you've got to start, is what will I commit to and what deal am I ready to do right now? And so for me, that was, I'll take the car, let's do a very simple service, replace a couple of keys, and then we're gonna go on. And so now I have a working speed key because that took a while to come in. It was $8,000. I got a second key, now I have, it's my third key now. That was $10,000 and it took them 10 hours of Bugatti labor to assemble and program it. And so built into that 1.45 was probably about $35,000, $40,000 in stuff that they were doing to make the car a little more complete and a little bit more ready to go. And then they went on to do the plugs and coils, which was about a $25,000 item at their cost, flush the coolant, and go through the car for me again. And so I feel like I got a great deal. So with a $19,000 annual service, $4,000 that I paid for an extra key and one key that didn't work, and an owner's manual and the PDA, I also spent a little bit of money on insurance. It was about $500 a month, paid for gas and things like that. It cost me about $40,000 to own this car for a year and drive it 4,000 miles. So $10 a mile, really not that bad. Now the prior owner that was consigning it to Bugatti Broward, he lost $1 million owning the car for about 18 months, and he only drove the car like 800 or 900 miles. So going from 2.4 something down to what he netted out of this sale, over $1,000 a mile. So $10 or $1,000. That's the difference in driving it more and buying it right. And I hope for all of you that you managed to solve that recipe for your own dream cars. But I am very, very happy. And I don't really see the cost going up that much. So when I think about what's it gonna cost me to own it the next year, I'll have a set of tires, but those will only be like $2,000, $2,500. I'll have a set of replica wheels, which I've got an idea on. I'll have to fix the axles, but I think the rebuild's only gonna be a few grand. And then I'll have another annual service that might be a little bit less than that. I think I can get it all done for about 10 next year when it's just brake fluid, oil, and coolant. And so, I mean, that may still be well under $10 a mile, which really ain't bad at all, especially with that noise. I gotta say, you know, sometimes you meet heroes and they don't live up to it, but this is not one of those heroes. It does everything I want it to do. I have loved owning it for this year, and I cannot see a world in which I take any of the stupid offers that have been coming my way on it. This thing rocks.